this isn't a dream? What proof do you have that this is not that yesterday existed? It's the same question. I hope you see that. Any further thoughts on that? Anybody? M, Q, G, E, W, J, X, and any? Have you thought of a way to kind of prove this? And Jay, you talked about well, you raised some issues the last time where it's like, if this is really all a dream, does it matter then, because this is all we have, we're carrying out this, and we can discuss that again. But yes, M.
Okay, well, I was thinking this week, I just spent like 2 hours thinking about it or something while mowing the lawn, but I kind of...
Wait, that's an excellent thing. You thought about it while mowing the lawn. Perfect, because you're doing muscle memory, right? You don't have to be thinking about right. You just until you think about some other things. You concentrate and maybe get some work done in this class by thinking about it. Great, right. So using your time. But tell me what you came up with.
So I was thinking, okay, so the demon, and this could easily, I can see how this wouldn't work, but it's like, okay, so the demon is at the set to deceive you in every way possible, this evil demon. So but then we know about God and our knowledge. So it seems like if he's deceiving us fully, then why would he give us anything about a true calling? Supposing that God exists, it's like, why would he allow us?
Well, that's why Descartes would say that's why he's so evil, because he's just so thoroughly deceiving us. I mean, he's not just leaving us in the dark. He's giving us answers we think are answers, and so that kind of stops our questions. But it's a thorough deception, and when we pass from this life to the next, we're going to find out, either because, well, see, I don't even know if that's a question Descartes raises. But his answer to you would be, well, that doesn't stop the demon from being even more evil than you thought, because he's even fooling you by giving you a supposed calling.
Right, but then it's like, well, and I get that, but and you what I'm about to say probably will not work, but it's like, if he's already giving you truth in the form of deception, then he is not anymore this all lies. Well, he is deceiving you, but he isn't giving you all lies. So within this deception, there is truth.
Well, I think you're onto something, but I got tripped up with truth and deception.
Yeah, because he's deceiving you by giving you a truth of God.
But it wouldn't be a truth of God.
That's the point. If he's deceiving us, then we think, by believing the Bible, we think that God is true, but it's really not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah. No, everything is a fake. See, Descartes thinking is taking this extreme position because he's worried about something. He's worrying about possibility. Now, you think this is like the remotest chance of remote chances, right? But for Descartes, if it's a possibility,
right? Yes.
Then he and his, like, I don't want to say demented state, but he dedicated himself to this, right?
Yeah.
To this moment of I'm going to now if you actually listen to something about his life, now I would recommend to you the audiobook Descartes' Bones. All right, then you realize this guy was able to live a very full life with a lot of with a particular mistress and a lot of arguments that he thought really counted for stuff, and I don't want to call that a full life, but what I mean is this guy was able to live an everyday life, and he really believed he existed.
Yeah.
So this may have very well been a philosophical exercise he was doing, but he understood it to be a very important exercise that undercut some other, what he thought to be unwarranted assumptions of the Catholic Church. Okay, now the Catholic Church is having a hard time with Descartes because they've recently forgiven him, as they did Galileo, and they've ritualized his reinterment, and they pulled him out of the ground to do this, and they gave him a ritualized procession into his new cathedral. But when he was writing, they banned his books, and they execute. Well, I don't want to use the word excommunication. I'm a little fuzzy with the historical details, but plenty of priests left the church because of Descartes. When they read his. Okay, so he's presenting you this kind of thought experiment. Now, what we can do is kind of suppose this is really Descartes. He really was worried, but I don't know. I don't know if he was or not. He says a lot of stuff in his. He says that he had a vision of a watermelon. I mean, really, he does. It's in there, and that he also believes, if you believe the book, that the Virgin Mary's place of birth has been transported in the air from Jerusalem through the air into Loreto. I think I've got the name wrong. Loreto, Italy. And in fact, in Loreto, Italy is the Church of the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary. So, how did it get there? Of course, the idea is, well, just transport it through the air. But, if you really hold, say, Jesus going up in the clouds as a literal historical event, it's not too different. So why not? Which would explain the craziness about relics. Relics for the Catholic Church, you'd have like a splinter of the cross in the church, and it's like the real splinter. But then, you go to another church, there's like a cross beam, and they're all over the place. So if you really got all the splinters of the cross, this cross is huge, huge. Well, it's the same thing Jesus did with the breaking of the bread, right? He took 5 loaves and he made 12 baskets for everyone's benefit, more than 12 baskets. That's what was left over. So the Catholic Church has no problem explaining that, thousands of teeth from Saint, I forget his name, but he's the one that you need to pray to if you have a toothache. And so you have these teeth, his teeth, and they're more than 32. Anyway, so I don't know exactly how much he actually believed in that sense, that if he didn't believe it, he wasn't going to act on it. But he did present it as a thought experiment. Truly worked out. Okay, yes, Q.
I was just thinking, for his questions, I feel like there's so many ways that you can just undermine any kind of answer you kind of think of. So really, there isn't really an answer. But
right.
I'd rather I wonder, if your dream is the only thing that you can sense, then your dream is your reality.
Well, that's I think might have been what you were kind of getting at too. So why worry about anything else, right? Well, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, I don't know. I just feel like if after a while, if you can't beat the system, really, you may as well try to make your portion of the system.
Right. Well, if you are now school is kind of like this, okay? If you are forever a student, you might think, well, it's all about grades. It's all about pleasing your teachers. Not pleasing in that sense, maybe not so crass, but think about a football player. Okay. By the way, before I move on, this is very important. You said you can't really answer this, and I said yeah. But in fact, I think we might have to run with the assumption that these questions do have answers. But in our limited sense, we cannot hit upon them yet. Just see, what I don't want to do is the blind man's fallacy. The blind man's fallacy is that because the blind man has never seen a rabbit, he believes that it really kind of doesn't really exist.
It's like we can't. It's like
but well, what I don't want to assume is that one day these questions will have an answer. So I don't want to. I'm just trying to say that when I said yes, these can't be answered, I might be saying they can't be answered now or with our limited capability. Yeah. Okay.
I'm still a little bit fuzzy on when we talk about future consequences. Like if I broke my leg yesterday and I come today with still a broken leg, how that doesn't prove that yesterday happened. Because I asked this question to my family and a couple of my friends, and they.
But how do you know you broke it yesterday? Because what you are pulling upon now. For example, give me one thing that really did happen to you yesterday.
I broke.
No.
I think in the past, yesterday.
What just yesterday? It could be the most mundane thing.
It could be.
Or anybody that has one.
I finished my homework.
You finished your homework yesterday. Okay. What evidence do you have now that you finished your homework yesterday? Right now, in this moment of present. What evidence?
I already turned it into my teacher.
So you don't even have the homework now. See, that's troublesome. But what do you have? You're pulling on something that's very vivid in your mind.
The knowledge that I completed.
Well, it's the
knowledge
memory.
Of the information that I learned. Yeah.
But is it knowledge like? Wait a minute. What I'm asking you is it not a memory?
The memory of learning. Yeah,
the memory of the event of doing it.
Yeah.
You have the event as a memory. See, Descartes is saying, what if we posit someone who can give you fake memories? And have it be so clear that you actually, are so convinced. You are convinced. So there's memory, and then there's conviction that's at play here. Now, both of those together might lead you into a state that you wouldn't call knowledge. Now, Plato would fuss at you about that, but I can understand that. Okay, I can understand that. But what Descartes would come back at you and say is, you're still dealing with memory.
But what about, like, say I actually did break my arm, and my arm was in a cast.
But what I'm saying is, okay, this whole broken arm thing is, I never thought of this would be this great analogy here, and
I did break my arm and I had to
Yeah.
live with a cast for 6 weeks.
I don't see the cast though. How do I know you broke the
When
arm?
I'm just using that as.
Well, what I'm
if
saying
someone
is,
had broken
you
my arm.
actually believe you broke your arm, right? You broke your arm. Yeah,
There
I
were
teach them the English. You actually believe you broke the arm, right? Well, where is your proof right now that this actually happened in history?
You have,
Not right.
you have
Well, see,
I
that's
understand that
Descartes'
that's
point. The
I'm
point
trying to
is
say
like,
if someone was currently had their broken arm, like
yeah,
if my arm was broken right now and I still had the cast on
Yeah.
today,
but see, you're
In the
assuming
present
then that you were not always forever with a broken arm.
well,
And you see what I'm saying is the fact that you have seen other people that are not you not have broken arms, you're assuming that you once did not have a broken arm.
I
But I don't see the inconsistency of an evil demon creating a being that was forever from the very beginning of his creation with a broken arm. Why do we have 5 fingers? Why not 6? So what were you going to say? And I'll come back to you. I don't want to like cut it down. But
You said that, like,
Yeah.
where's the proof that his arm was broken? I have a friend who did break his arm, and he still has, the break was so bad that he still has the bolts, so that's kind of proof.
yeah, but oh, go ahead.
But, like,
I have a horrible habit of interrupting. I apologize. Go finish it up.
no, I just, I mean, if you had if you, like, x-rayed it, you would probably see where it healed over, and
Yeah,
that's, like,
yeah.
proof.
Well, see, Descartes is ingenious with his recourse to this evil demon, because notice he has granted the demon like sovereign power of creation, like the demon can create things, right? And so again, what you have here? Let's say the guy who has the broken arm, or the guy who still has the cast on, in the present moment, he knows he has a cast. What he doesn't know is that he once existed without the cast. He has a memory of existing without the cast.
Is that kind of like when
But the
you're
memory
sick
can
and
be
you
deceptive.
forget what it's like to actually breathe? Like when you have a cold and it's like you've had a cold for so long and you're just so congested, it's like, I don't
know.
remember what it's
I
like
don't-
to breathe clearly.
I don't want to. I know that might just be a figure of speech.
No, it's not.
Well, it very okay. So, like, if you actually are in a physiosomatic state where it's like I cannot remember the last time I wasn't. That was one reason I stopped wearing a watch, because I was like constantly, like, I gotta get on time. I'm always pressed for time somewhere, and it was just a horrible habit, And at one point, I couldn't remember when I wasn't so time bound. And so maybe I had forgotten that, and maybe I might have been like convinced that's always been this way. But see, in theory, I could suppose, well, I probably, when I was a kid, probably wasn't so worried about watches and all that, but I don't necessarily remember it now. What Descartes is doing here is he's saying this: if there's even a possibility that your evidence resides in perception or memory, since both of those can be deceived. In fact, you are deceived perceptually continually, right? Because the current optical theories, the theories of color and optics, tells you that you're receiving things upside down. And in fact, if you are seeing something that looks like a white wall, in itself, it is anything but white, isn't it? According to color theory. So you're constantly being deceived by your perceptions. And then if memory can be faulty, whether it's just faulty because of amnesia, or because of dementia, or because of a brain trauma, or because of you have some person implanting fake memories in you, which is becoming more and more a real possibility in terms of neuroscience. Then how do you know beyond a shadow of a doubt? Now the doubt might be very small, it might not even be practical to live according to that doubt, but how are you certain that of the things you say you are certain of? See, Descartes was questioning the foundation for what people were calling knowledge in his day. Okay, yes.
Didn't in your office lecture, didn't you
Yeah.
say that the ability of reality was something like the person saying it and it came true? Something
Oh yeah, no, I was saying let's run with the notion of truth as being propositional.
Yeah.
In other words, we'll say that if we're going to talk about somebody being true, like to his promise or to her claims, then we're saying faithful. She's a true friend. But when we talk about something being true, like is it true or false, what we're really asking is, first of all, a predication, a sentence with a predicate, like a subject with a predicate. The color of the table has 4 legs. So you get it in language first. And then you look at the thing in language and it has meaning for you, and then you say, is this true or false? Because it's making a claim, it's not a question, it's not a command, that sort of thing, right? It's making a claim, and you ask, it's making a claim about what? A state of affairs we call reality. Okay, the way I can access it is let me just look and check it out. So there's a correspondence. But what I'm saying,
Isn't that what the evil demon can do that?
yeah, he
say-
can. He can.
Wouldn't that make it then true?
Right.
His
Well, no. Well, what it would
propositions-
do is it would say, it would vitiate it even more by saying the language, the sentences you have running around are designed to correspond to a makeshift reality that doesn't ever really exist. So you even think you got the truth in your language, that you can like relate it. The Matrix will do this to you, right? I'm talking about the movie, right? Yeah, you got the guy eating the
Can
meat.
you assign it? I'm technically not supposed to watch R-rated movies, so if you assigned it, then
Actually, you know what?
you'll-
Okay. My wife and I have taken that as our like guideline too recently. The trouble is, we didn't pick this up until like 3 years ago when we decided, PG-13 is just getting, or R is just getting like really bad for us, because we're going to have to deal with our children wanting to watch these movies too. So we just said across the board for us, it's better in our home. We don't watch our movies. Plus, the imagery you get, it doesn't disappear. It's all up here, right? So I don't want to deal with that either. And so but the trouble was, we managed to get the Matrix into us before we made that. And then we were surprised at other stuff we had to watch that's R too. And I'm like, I can't believe that's R, but it was. But
Is it like violent or is it just like the theme?
I can't even remember why Matrix is R.
It's a little bit violent.
A little bit
It's
of
not
it.
even that.
Just the ideas of it, like
I can't remember. No, it wouldn't be that. I think there may have been. Actually, I just can't remember.
It was violent.
And there's no nudity in it.
No.
I mean,
Except for, well, you know what? That might have been it because Neo is naked in his little eggshell thing. Yeah, yeah.
that's what constitutes as art.
Well, if you have any I think for frontal nudity for female or something like that, but that would be nudity, and then if there's even one nudity, it's sorry. But anyway, yes, and one thing is, as I'm discussing this, I'll throw out a reference, and you know what? I'm not necessarily condoning it. It is history for me. I do have it. I'm not saying you should all run out and do that, but any other questions? I don't know if I'm failing to answer something that one of you asked.
Why is the demon deceiving us?
Yeah, Descartes never.
Is that its nature?
Well, no. Descartes is just setting up a thought experiment. He's
Does
just setting up.
everybody have their own evil demon, or is it one evil demon fooling everybody?
No, Descartes. I think from what we get from Descartes, it's one evil demon fooling him.
Okay. So
I don't know about everybody.
So,
But see,
if
for
everyone has
Descartes,
their own personal demon, then wouldn't everybody have a completely different reality? So how
No, but-
can we even see and talk to each other?
Okay.
We all have completely
yeah, there's a
different
fellow who
realities.
wrote a whole book about that. Okay, it's very rarely read today, but it is. If you're really interested in it, I think you ought to buy it, and in 2 years read it, 2 pages a day or something. It's Leibniz monadology. Okay, and he actually thought this was reality, the way you're describing it, but not with the evil demon. But see, what Descartes would say to you is the question you're asking. I don't really feel I need to answer it because let's just say it was my own personal evil demon. You know what he's doing for me? He's giving me visions of other people because I don't even know other people.
Everybody else
Yeah,
that I'm
it's in
talking
your
to
head.
isn't
Yeah.
real.
It could be. It could
Oh,
be.
you.
Okay, so here's
Like everybody's like projections of my subconscious.
here's another term for you. Okay, it's solipsism. Have you heard of that term? Solipsism. Solipsism is the idea that you're the only thing that ever existed. Everything else is a figment of your imagination.
That sounds
It's very lonely. And one of the jokes is one.
Groundhog Day.
I don't know. I want to see Groundhog Day again. Is it rated R?
No.
No, but it might be rated R today.
No, I don't know, man. I mean, the
No.
rated R's of like 10 years ago are like the PGs today.
Yeah.
But anyway.
June.
Anyway, Descartes would say, I'm truly in a fix with this thing. The way I've set up this thought experiment is that I don't even know if there is anybody else out there. Because you all might be figments of this memory data stream that I'm getting. Okay, so he's really presented a conundrum, all right? Now, what I want to suggest to you is this: the fact that you have. Let's just run with Descartes. Okay, now listen. Let me throw this out for you because we had like 5 more minutes. But what if you do have instances? Well, in the dreams, okay, things that happen in a dream seem to be so real and seem to have their consequences while you're in the dream that you need to play the dream right. What I'm saying is even in the dream, there are things you can and cannot do, isn't it that way? So there is a structure of meaning set up in the dream. that does seem to have consequences within the dream, okay? Now, what Descartes can never answer is whether or not these consequences that are within the dream, which is one reason you may actually get sad in a dream or get very fearful. A reoccurring theme my wife has is that our child is drowning or kidnapped, and she just wakes up in a horrible state of, okay, so you get this stuff that's happening within the dream and it has its consequences, right? But the question is, does all of that stuff carry over when you wake up from the dream? Now, in our everyday experience, we are relieved to find out it was a dream because we realize nothing really carries over, right? But because we haven't experienced the carryover yet, doesn't mean that it's never going to carry over. David?
Well, also in a dream, you like see things that don't make sense that would happen in reality. You kind of tend to skip over them or logically, make an excuse for them to happen.
But there are some things that
you can't really figure out.
Okay.
So if
Oh, hold
you
on.
dream in a dream, could the demon be a dream? Is your guys
Descartes
It doesn't actually exist on the upper layers. it's just in our-
Descartes never took it to that remove. But I think it would be a legitimate question to answer Descartes. I just don't know how he would answer it. So I'm not. But what I want to say here is this: in the dream, there are things that happen in the dream, right? Like how many of you have ever flown in a dream? That sort of thing. And you know you can't.
Best dreams are when you're
Yeah. It's sort of a rhythmic flying for me. It's like, but I have flown too, and in my dream, I just realized I'm flying, and it's fantastic. Okay, so that is actually for me. Now I don't want to parse it out because I got 3 minutes left, and I want to make kind of a quick point here. But that for me is something that convinces me that miracles can happen in this reality because they happen in there. Okay. Because I do have a schematic of experience that happens in the dream, and things can get radically misplaced in the dream. I can like appear here and disappear there, and it happens in the dream. So I don't want to unpack the way I connect it, but I have reached the conclusion that is a type of evidence that this could happen in this, if this were a dream, right? Because if this were a dream on a grander scale, and we call it by the same name, then the same mechanisms that are at play at a smaller scale would be at play here, that could explain things that we call miracles. Okay. The second thing is, when you wake up from a dream, you are not too troubled about what troubled you tremendously in the dream. So what if the things that, if we look at the small dream and if we say there's an analogy and this is the big dream, how might that help you then respond to a loss of a brother, a child, a mother? How might that help you with a habit of sin that you can never escape? How might that help you with whatever it is that is weighing you down in this life? Might you not have hope that when you awake from the dream, these things haven't really ever been lost. In fact, you've always been together in a certain space and you were dreaming about losing them. And they were with you all the time, okay? Just as when you wake up and you go down for breakfast, there's your mom, there's your dad, there's your brother. They were there all the time. It was in your dream that you lost them. And what you're in the process of is you're grieving, but you're still in the dream. So I think this may help explain some things. I'm talking about the problem of evil, which we'll discuss later. And I'm talking about with this notion of how can you ever truly lose something? I don't want to say that. This notion of loss, which is what we're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with this issue of loss one day, okay? In a very real sense, past this theoretical discussion place. And how do you analyze it? How have you thought about it in order to give you legitimate defenses against loss? Okay, yes, Megan. You forgot. Oh, wait. I meant to say G, W, while you think G, W. What were your? Oh, okay, you were just M.
So that idea that you're talking about, that's kind of along both of your kind of ideas. Right now we're in a kind of this dream state that heaven is, and this isn't specifically related to Descartes, but
Heaven
that kind
would
of
be
relates
the
to you.
state.
It's like a
Yeah.
loss here isn't, it doesn't affect you in heaven.
Right, and in fact, you haven't lost anybody.
So I thought that kind of worked well with
Yeah,
that idea.
but this could go on for a while, and it's I think a very fruitful discussion. But we do have to stop, and I'll start the next time with a new perennial question. But